we go into them nitpicking, then it will be unfortunate to point out that in 1974, what happened was not a case of proliferation by a non-state actor, but proliferation by a state. And has that been addressed by the NSC? Because the kind of exemptions which India has right now, there is a possibility that it might still be able to use its unsafeguarded facilities using the safeguarded material it gets. Has the NSC tried to address that, to force India to commit to not using the material provided to it under safeguards to be used in unsafeguarded facilities? So far, India has that exemption because of the 2008 decision of the NSC. It can use safeguarded material in unsafeguarded facilities while temporarily applying safeguards. So in our view, that also needs to be addressed. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, we can address the other question.
Yes, I have a feeling I'm going to give two very unsatisfactory answers because I speak neither for the Indian government nor the UK government. I know that it's a
What is your understanding?
I know that it's a matter of public record that the UK government supports the Indian bid for membership. Beyond that, I don't want to speculate, but it's interesting to point out that the NSG started life as the London group, so I know this is an issue that UK has a long-standing and great interest in. And on the question of whether India would test if it gets NSG membership, your guess is as good as mine. I would say I very much hope not. And I think any initiative to strengthen testing moratorium and the norm against testing is very welcome in that regard.
Thank you. I think I will close the question-answer session here, and I apologize to you, sir, but you have had an opportunity to ask the question. So it's getting very late, and I will be constrained to draw a close because our visitors have other engagements in the evening as well. I think that this was an excellent session. Some very good presentations. In fact, all the presentations made were very, very good. Professor Andrew Dorman talked about arms control, about deterrence as being beneficial if we deal with it in the manner in which he has outlined, and he has given very good reasons for them, and he has also mentioned the challenges that we will have in the future. Kamran Akhtar gave a good rationale for Pakistan's bid for membership in the NSG, and he has been explaining all this very thoroughly. So I don't want to go into that any further. And Dr. Matthew Harris actually gave a good account of the evolving nature of the NSG process and the NSG NTC, the group. So we have looked at that, and he has talked about the various aspects of it, as well as about Pakistan's membership. And Dr. Chima has brought in the very important element of the political aspect of all these regimes. I think, I have always felt that the nuclear non-proliferation regime has a blind spot. And that blind spot, I just discovered this, that blind spot is ignoring security. Unless the nuclear non-proliferation regime and all its various provisions and agreements and treaties take into account the question of national security of the states concerned, member states, there will be this gap between what the international community would like the specific states to do and what those states would be willing or would be ready to do. So this is something that has come out very clearly in the discussion, as it does always in regard to such subjects. So I don't want to go on about this. I will just conclude with some personal experiences and small anecdotes. In the first place, the A.Q. Khan network. the Director General of the IAEA, and I was present throughout the A.Q. Khan affair in the IAEA as ambassador of Pakistan. The Director General IAEA stated in the Board of Governors meeting of September 2005, which you can look up, the statement is there in the records of the IAEA, that Pakistan has fully satisfied the International Atomic Energy Agency in regard to the A.Q. Khan network. 30 nationalities were involved. A.Q. Khan was just one, of course he was the principal figure, but he was just one of those 30 people who were in the network at that time. And no other state, no other country took that kind of decisive action that Pakistan took against the network. And it succeeded in dismantling the network. So, this should be kept in view when questions are still raised about Pakistan. I thought that 2005 statement, which he made in consultation with me, would set at rest all these questions, but they keep cropping up. And I understand that people still raise them. But Pakistan feels that it has done all that it can to address those issues. Secondly, on the CTBT, Pakistan elected or decided to be an observer at the CTBTO, which we did in 2004 and when I was ambassador, and India is not an observer at the CTBTO. So we have shown, we voted for the CTBT in the General Assembly, we are a member of the CTBTO, we are a member, an observer member of the CTBTO, and we have not signed or ratified it for political reasons, and that is understandable. Regarding the grandfather clause, the Chinese ambassador in Vienna told me in 2004 that China has entered the NSG. He had requested me for a one-to-one dinner just before China actually made the application, and we had a long chat. And he said that we have very clearly stated in our application that we have certain agreements with Pakistan which date back to 1986 and 87, which we will abide by, and we are committed to that. So China's record is very clear in regard to the grandfather clause and the Chashma power plants, as well as the Karachi power plants now. And finally, about export controls. You see, export controls, we have done more than other countries have done in regard to export control measures. And I'll tell you, I was in Hanoi for an export control meeting way back in 2011, and we went to the custom house to see whether the customs officers knew what is radiological material, and they didn't. So, we have the Pakistan Center for Excellence, where we train customs officers, we train police officers, we take practical, effective measures to ensure that the people who deal with these issues, with these matters, are conversant with what they are dealing with. So our various measures of control we have an export control oversight board of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, which is very alert and very active. So we are trying to do all that we can, and I thought I would bring this to your attention. Now, it remains for me to come to a conclusion of this session, and I'm request a round of applause for the excellent presentations made by our speakers. I have a request from Dr. Matthew Harris for just a very brief thought.
I just wanted very briefly on behalf of the CISS-IISS to offer our thanks to Mr. Naqvi, and just to say that the relationship with CISS on these workshops and today's very productive workshops is a very valuable one. And as a token of our thanks, I wanted to add to the weight of your suitcase by handing over some of the CISS-IISS's flagship publications as a gift. So thank you.
These are very welcome. Thank you very much.
Rahul.